Okay, here's just a couple of points I'd like to make about Xara now. Just me have a look. File new, 960. Get that. And first and foremost, the most pleasant thing about this release is that I can now drop a colour into the back into the pasteboard and drop a colour into the page, and it doesn't keep coming up and giving me a page shadow, which is one of the biggest pains in the arse going. A number of times I've published sites only to find that the page shadow has reintroduced itself. So that's the first thing that I like about it. The next big thing that I would like to talk about is the buttons. So if you go into insert from content catalog, go into components, print and web things, and go down to buttons. There we are. And I'll just import a button now. I'll do this button here. Import it. And first thing is that the selection is now far tighter around all the objects that you're selecting. That's nice as well. There's this rotate, and this is one I hadn't seen before and I couldn't quite understand what it was. But basically, even though the page mouse over and mouse off remain the same, if you just click up here and switch off the mouse over and mouse off, and select that and go Control All, there's no mouse over state at all. So you can actually delete that layer now, and it says, it gives you a warning, but if you delete it and then test it, oh hang on, I'll switch that off, then just test it, you can see that the button still works. So there's a bit of a change there, and possibly a mismatch on the way we're used to using things, and it might be confusing to people where you can no longer change things in the mouse over layer because there's nothing in the mouse over layer if you import new buttons from the content catalog. Right, so we go up here. This is another issue, that another new feature. I think it's a new feature. I've not seen it before. But when you click on it, it actually shows you the visibility of the mouse off and mouse over, mouse off, mouse over. So that's quite good. And you can just, if you go into the layer gallery, you can select these groups, and basically the two groups is just a shape and a text area. You can't select those two, can I? Oh, you can if you've got that visibility on. Yes. Okay, so if you just go and click on that shape and then go and then go back up to there. Let's just select this and unselect that visibility bit. It says egg was here. The thing I find disappointing is that this is just a shape, and if I go into the shape editor tool, or shape tool as you call it now, you can select these, move them around like that. I haven't done this before, but let's try it. No, it doesn't like me doing that because it's a shape inside a layer mouse off, so you can't really. No, it won't allow you to change that shape. But what I find disappointing is that if I just hang on a second, if I just bring this in here, put that down, then do a preview, and if I look at I'm in Firefox here, view all image info, that gives me that one I've just dragged in, but it still uses images for buttons, which I hope is just a temporary thing, and we'll eventually get round to using shapes, because these shapes are just rectangles, and they should be exporting as SVGs and not as images. So that's one of the other things I've found. So I'll pause. One other thing that I've found, by the way, I don't like this selector tool shape. I prefer the old selector tool. I'm not really worried about the rest of the user interface thing, whether it's grey or not. I don't personally think there's an improvement. It's just a bit different. It's like some people still like to use the original user interface, the light interface. I don't see this as even worth the while to bother to do. There's no improvement really. So that's my thoughts on that. The other thing I've noticed is if I create a rectangle or a square here by holding down Control, select that and give it a fill color, and then select the mold tool and give it the default envelope. It doesn't show me any nodes at all. In fact, I have to click on that corner here to do that. Now, prior to this, sometimes I wouldn't even see the nodes at all. I can at least for the minute now see the nodes, but when I move them around, suddenly the little blue spot at the end of them disappears. So if I click on this one, you can see these dots, and I can move them like that, but then the dots disappear again. So yeah, I think this is to do with HD definition, or using a. So if you're using a K4 monitor as I am, you're still kind of dancing in the dark and still having trouble finding these control handles. One of the other things I did notice, when you select and create a mold, and what I'll do is delete this one in a minute, create another rectangle, square, give it a different color, say there, okay, and have that selected. It's a one rectangle with a greenish fill and no outline. The minute I select it and change it into a mold, it says it's a mold on layer mouse off, and it's got no fill and no outline, and it's also got many for its line width. So now I'm going to select that, and as I say, I have to click that to get these controls. They're not obvious, and move those around. I can change this shape, but then when I click to fill its color on the color line, nothing changes. If I click to fill the let me see, set line color, it's got many, so I have to change that to 4. That's okay then. And then from there on in, I can start to replace the colours that I want. Replace that colour, replace it. Doesn't that's not working properly. If I set the fill colour to that, I can then click away on the colour line and change it away. But to do that, first and foremost, I have to click over it and set line colour. I don't know if I can clear line colour. Yes, it allows me to clear line colour, and if I select it, it's now showing me that the mould has a green fill and no outline. But delete that. Create that. Select the mould tool. Default envelope. Click that. Move that around, which is difficult without control points. And then try just clicking on the colour line down here. Nothing happens. Nothing happens at all until I right click on the colour line and then set fill colour. Having done that, I can then just go along and change it as I wish. So I think that might be actually a fairly old bug, but it's annoying, and I'd still like to be able to get a hold of decent. In Xara Reg, we used to be able to change the blob sizes and everything else, but I don't know if we can use that anymore. But I find these awful. They're still not doing what they should do on a 4K monitor. Anyway, enough of my rambling. This is Egg. Good night. Bye.